Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the posting of the colors, the singing of the national anthem by Cadet 3rd Class Quentin Coleman, and the invocation by Chaplain Captain Chris Elise.
Stand flag.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Oh, ho!
Will you pray with me? Holy God, we come before you today in remembrance of a true American hero. As we sift through our pain and anguish and remembering Major Adrianna Vorderbruggen, we balance our sorrow with the light of inspiration. Adrianna was an inspiration to many because of the life she lived. How does one become like Adrianna? What compels someone to fight so boldly inside and outside the military? What drives someone to confront conflict? I'd imagine Adrianna had many reasons. What the outsider can see clearly is Adrianna was blessed with a mind, a heart, and a spirit of courage. There are not many who are willing to engage where danger lurks, but Adrianna was perhaps called to such a place. She made her land a land not many would want to inhabit. In her bravery, she leaves a legacy that will undoubtedly inspire many to follow. Some live a long life with nothing to leave behind. Others, like Adrianna, have their lives cut short, but leave a mountain of a legacy for others to climb toward. Adrianna knew well, you don't climb mountains and overcome challenges with ease. It requires something much, much more. Blood, sweat, and tears. Adrianna shed these for our country, and for her sacrifice, we are eternally grateful. We say thank you to you, Adrianna. Holy Lord, you are able to do more than we could ever hope for or imagine. In your graciousness, may you hold Adrianna in your enduring loving arms. May you comfort us in our times of grief, give us strength in our weakness, and lift us to fight another day. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Honor Guard, Cadet Coleman, and Chaplain DeLuise. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Special Agent Merida Hayes, and I would like to welcome you to this very special occasion as we honor United States Air Force Academy graduate and AFOSI Special Agent Major Adrianna Vorderbruggen. Recognizing the importance of this ceremony, we are joined today by a number of very special and distinguished guests. I am pleased and honored to extend a special welcome to Major Vorderbruggen's spouse, Ms. Heather Lamb, and their son, Jacob Lamb. Major Vorderbruggen's father, Mr. Joseph Vorderbruggen. Major Vorderbruggen's mother-in-law, Ms. Ann Lamb. Major Vorderbruggen's niece, Ms. Jennifer Camps Hell. Major Vorderbruggen's aunt, Ms. Carol Busnes Camps. And Major Vorderbruggen's nephew, Mr. Philip Camps. In addition to Major Vorderbruggen's family, other distinguished guests joining us today are Brigadier General Andy Armacost, Dean of the Faculty, United States Air Force Academy, and his wife, Kathy, who provided us with this exceptional hall to host the ceremony. Colonel Amy Bumgarner, Commander, AFOSI Region 8, and her husband, Randy. Lieutenant Colonel John Barnett, Vice Commander, AFOSI Region 8. Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Bamberger, Command Chief, AFOSI. Chief Master Sergeant Karen Burnflit, Superintendent, AFOSI Region 8. Chief Master Sergeant Shirley Jones, Command Chief, 10th Air Base Wing. I would also like to welcome all commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, members of AFOSI, cadets, and most of all, family members and friends who have dedicated time to honor a fellow airman who touched so many lives and paid the ultimate sacrifice. As mentioned before, I am Special Agent Merida Hayes, and I will be your official narrator for today's ceremony. I would like to begin the ceremony by providing a little background about the heroic airmen whose life, service, and sacrifice we commemorate today. Major Vorderbruggen graduated from Cadet Squadron 2 at the United States Air Force Academy in 2002. While at USAFA, Major Vorderbruggen was an integral part of the 2002 National Championship Rugby team. Upon graduation, Major Vorderbruggen competed for and was selected to serve as a special agent for the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. In 2003, she was assigned to AFOSI Detachment 802 Patrick Air Force Base, Florida, where she served as a counterintelligence program manager. During her assignment at Patrick, Major Vorderbruggen deployed to Lille Air Base, Iraq, and was instrumental in the capture and neutralization of key members of the Saddam Hussein regime. In 2007, Major Vorderbruggen was assigned to AFOSI Detachment 225 Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, where she completed her first tour as detachment commander. In 2009, Major Vorderbruggen attended George Washington University and received a master's degree in forensic sciences. Following graduation, she successfully served as an AFOSI forensic science consultant in the northeastern region of the United States. In 2013, Major Vorderbruggen accepted an assignment to the 9th Field Investigation Squadron, Hurlburt Field, Florida. It was during this assignment that Major Vorderbruggen was selected to serve in her second detachment commander position at AFOSI Expeditionary Detachment 2405 Bagram Air Base, Afghanistan. Tragically, during an outside-the-wire mission on 21 December 2015, she and 5 members of her elite team were killed in action by the enemy. Hers and their memories live on through families, friends, and our sister and brothers in arms. While I never had the chance to meet Major Vorderbruggen, everyone that knew her emphasized she was a great airman and leader. But most importantly, she was a beloved mother, daughter, and friend. In an effort to memorialize Major Vorderbruggen's life, service to our country, and selfless sacrifice, the Association of Graduates, AFOSI Detachment 808, and Cadet Squadron 2 came together and created a memorial display case that will forever remain in Major Vorderbruggen's Cadet Squadron for all to see. Major Vorderbruggen's life exemplifies the virtues all airmen and Air Force Academy graduates aspire to: integrity, service, and excellence. Today, Special Agent Anna Casillo was invited to speak about Major Vorderbruggen as a colleague and friend and the impact she had. Special Agent Casillo is currently a forensic science consultant assigned to the 3rd Field Investigation Squadron, Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. Special Agent Casillo met Major Vorderbruggen while assigned to Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland. Then Major Vorderbruggen became Special Agent Casillo's friend and mentor. Please join me in welcoming Special Agent Casillo.
Oh, misty eye of the mountain below, keep careful watch of my brother's soul. And should the sky be filled with fire and smoke, keep watching over during sun. This is to end in fire, and we shall all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out, Father, oh, stand by and we will watch the flames burn over and on the mountainside. And if we should die tonight, we should all die together. Raise a glass of wine for the last time, calling out, Father, prepare as we will watch the flames burn over and on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon the sky. Now I see fire inside the mountain. I see fire burning the trees, and I see fire hollow in soul. I see fire blood in the breeze, and I hope that you remember me.
Vorderbruggen, Afghanistan. It's the 16th of February 2016. This is for our Hustler 6. So 21 gun salute to you guys. Rest in peace.
Good afternoon, everyone. The video was produced by John Vorderbruggen, who could not be here today. For those that can't see, if you want to move a little bit, take a seat if you need to. I got a lengthy speech for you. John Vorderbruggen and I believe that we needed to show that video because it's not just about Miss Vorderbruggen. That was her entire team that she lost, that she led in Vorderbruggen, and she wouldn't want it any other way but for them to be also recognized. Today, it is not my intention to teach you about leadership. All of you have had and will continue to have a lot of training on leadership attributes, leadership challenges, and leadership successes and failures. Rather, today I am here to tell you about a great leader, a leader that was commissioned out of this great academy, and how her affectionate leadership and strength of character impacted all of those around her. Today, I will tell you about Major and Special Agent Adrianna Vorderbruggen and how she affected my life. As you just heard, Major Adrianna Vorderbruggen was an amazing human being, an outstanding officer, a true mentor in every sense of the word. She was someone who lived each day to inspire, lead, and to be the best person possible. If it weren't for her, I would not be standing here before you today as an AFOSI forensic science consultant. Let me explain how this New York girl started her Air Force career and how Major V inspired me to expand my reach and become more than ever I thought I could be. I am an airman in the United States Air Force. I am a federal law enforcement agent. I am also a mother, fiance, daughter, and sister. I have 19 years of active duty Air Force service and can remember the day I knew I wanted to be a federal agent. My father spent most of his life in the United States Marine Corps and spent the last years of his life in the United States Army. When I was 9 years old, he was diagnosed with colon cancer and unfortunately was given 5 years to live. The Army medically discharged him and he received 100% disability. Despite his sickness, my father wanted to ensure he remained as fit and healthy as possible and was adamant about continuing some sort of security or law enforcement career. I recall he was researching jobs to see what he was qualified for. And he had this book which broke down each job title. When I was 12 years old, I found the book and began to look at the descriptions and found the one for me. The description read, "A federal agent investigates crimes that violate federal law, such as drug trafficking, kidnapping, bank robbery, death, and many other federal level crimes. Agents may travel frequently around the country and overseas, conducting surveillance and investigations of criminal and counterintelligence activity." I was sold. My father passed away when I was 14 years old, but his death did not stop me from reaching my dreams. It inspired me. At 18, I entered the United States Air Force as a security forces member. Cool. Cool. I had had the privilege to work in multiple assignments, which included nuclear convoy security. I was a security forces technical training instructor, and I was the only female in a 17-man protective service detail where I was sworn in as an NCIS agent, yes, while still on active duty, in order to defend and protect the position of an office for Marine Corps General James Mattis for Joint Forces Command in NATO. When my assignment was up, General Mattis said to me, "Anna, you can't go back to where you came from. You must move forward, upward, to something bigger and better." So I thought back to that day that I read that description, and I said, "Sir, I want to be in the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations. I want to be an OSI agent." Then I asked myself, can I do this? How bad do I want this? Will I be successful? Will my efforts impact our mission? Then something inside me said yes. It's your calling. The opportunity for you to be outstanding is here. I remember the feeling I had when I was 12 years old, and so I did it. I crossed over into the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, graduated from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, and I am proud to say I am one of many federal agents assigned to this awesome agency. For those who do not know who we are, our mission is to identify, exploit, and neutralize terrorist and intelligence threats to the Air Force, Department of Defense, and our U.S. government. AFOSI investigates a wide variety of offenses such as espionage, terrorism, violent crimes, larceny, computer hacking, acquisition fraud, drug use and distribution, financial misdeeds, military desertion, procurement fraud, and any other illegal activity that undermines the mission of the U.S. Air Force or the Department of Defense. Let me tell you, I was on cloud 9 the day I received my badge and creds. My first AFOSI mission or assignment was the 7th Field Investigation Squadron at Andrews Air Force Base, where I spent almost 5 years working in the Major Crimes Division. This is when I met Major V, who quickly grew to become my mentor and later unofficial forensic science partner. Unfortunately, a lot of people are taken from us too early. And there are certain circumstances or situations which we are not prepared for. 4 days before Christmas, Air Force Major and Special Agent Adrianna Vorderbruggen was killed when a Taliban suicide bomber drove a motorcycle packed with explosives into a security patrol that she was leading near Bagram Air Base in eastern Afghanistan. It was the deadliest day for the United States military in Afghanistan in 18 months at that time, in what was supposed to be the waning days of the war. 5 others were also killed in that attack, while the Taliban claimed responsibility. Agent Vorderbruggen is not remembered for this event, but she is remembered as a wife, a mother, sister, daughter, friend, and my mentor. Upon receiving notification of my winning the 2015 Outstanding Federal Employee Award from the Women in Federal Law Enforcement organization, I could not have been more proud or grateful. I immediately contacted Agent Vorderbruggen for all she did to unknowingly prepare me for my current position as an OSI forensic science agent. See, well before OSI planned to bring enlisted personnel into our forensic science program, Agent Vorderbruggen would contact my unit commander for approval to take me on trips to the Armed Forces Medical Examiners System at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. This is where she would ironically be the point of contact for casualties of war. While I was there, I learned how to properly process the deceased. Unfortunately, there are too many names to mention, and may they all rest in peace. It was during my work at Dover with Major V, that's what she liked me to call her, Vorderbruggen was a long name, with Major V, that I found out I was extremely quick to learn the craft she found out I was extremely quick to learn the craft and continued to request my assistance on other death cases, rapes, child pornography cases, and many other felony-level investigations. All of my efforts quickly built my caseload resume and my experience, which ultimately resulted in my 2015 Wiffle Award win. Now, I tell you this for one reason. You see, in my life, I've never regretted the times that I made great attempts at something and failed. What I regret are those times in my life when, for whatever reason, I chose not to act or strive or try to achieve something that in my heart I knew I should. Under Agent Vorderbruggen's guidance and leadership, I learned as a young agent to accept a challenge, to see failure as a stepping stone to success, and to pour my heart and my energy into the things I believed in. I learned not to be concerned if my forensic theory was challenged, but rather to have confidence in my training and competence as a professional. She supported my vision, theories, and plans every time. She allowed me to grow, fail, learn, triumph, and to be the outstanding airman and federal criminal investigator I am today. At the time, I didn't realize that Major V was setting me up for my current FSC position. Hearing of her death had me filled with an overwhelming sadness. Honestly, I hadn't felt that type of hurt since the day my father died. I sat and I tried to snap out of it, then it hit me. Prior to any unforeseen circumstance, I would think, what would Major V do? All of you have made it to where you are today through the sacrifice and by accomplishing the tasks and duties necessary to launch you into the positions that you hold now. As many of us know, the decisions that we make today will determine our tomorrow. We do not always get that chance to touch someone so deeply, so profoundly, that they are impacted to the point that they carry on your legacy. Not just through their daily duties or life experiences, they pass it on to ensure others learn from your talents, learn from your abilities, learn from your mistakes, and absorb your intelligence so they too can be great. Someone once told me we all know our beginning. You know, the day that we were born on this earth. However, none of us know when our end date will come. But we do know it is inevitable. In between the beginning and the end is a dash. What we do with that dash symbolizes and defines our purpose. Very quickly, I began to think about how I could keep her legacy going. One way is by sharing her story and continuing to train other agents the skills and techniques that she taught me. If anyone knows how short life is, it's people in law enforcement, the military, and the medical career field. I'm sure we all have seen unfortunate or tragic situations. In the end, we only have that dash. What you choose to do with it is in your hands. The Air Force core values of integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do are the fundamental pillars of our leadership, and they bind us to our fellow airmen. This is why these words are instilled in us from the early stages of our military careers. How do they play into our lives today? Agent Vorderbruggen was a perfect example. Working with her, I learned very quickly how she took her Air Force career seriously. Never did I ever hear her complain about anything, nor did I ever see her cut corners. Integrity first is something you could not sway Major V away from. She kept the most accurate notes, was honest to the core, so much so, sometimes I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? See, it's not meant to be disrespectful or hurtful. It's an aha moment, helping me see the elements, the missing elements. To have a leader in today's society with such strong moral principles can sometimes be a challenge. Service before self meant taking time away from her family and answering that 24/7 call. Sometimes during family dinners, family life events, or even offering to take calls in the middle of the night for an agent in need of case support so someone else on her team could rest easy. It also included going into the office to grab gear for a crime scene, even though she lived further than another agent that can grab it. Excellence in all she did was evident in her casework, her meticulous nature in how she handled the deceased with dignity and respect while at the autopsies, and her demeanor from the PT field to senior leader briefings. I'm reminded of a story about leadership by one of my team leaders while on General Mattis's detail. We were talking about how selfless General Mattis was, and how he puts everyone first and takes care of himself last. The gunny told me he had a commander while they were in Fallujah who was just like General Mattis. They were in the heat of battle, and when the teams rotated in and out of the front line, they had a chance to finally have an actual meal. His commander told the Marines to get their fill. Knowing that they were on food rations, he waited to eat last. By the time he got to the line, there was only a spoonful of food. His troops saw this, and each of them brought him a little from their plates until his plate was full. You see, this leader knew what it took to put the Marines first, taking care of them, showing them that they are important, a vital part of the fighting mission. The Marines respected their leader, saw his compassion, selflessness, and because of that, they wanted to ensure that he too had enough to eat. The respect was mutual and the bond was made. Regardless of how tough things get, the leader ate last, and when the respect is there, he too will always have a full plate. Major V lived by this mantra. She gathered her team before every outside-the-wire mission, and the group said a prayer. She led many of the missions herself, and always led from the front, thinking of herself last. When you entered the military, you swore to obey orders and carry them out to the best of your abilities, as well as defend this Constitution. Being part of the world's premier military force and understanding with more than a decade of war, none of the deployments or war's grim realities have lessened our sense of purpose or our infectious high spirits of our Air Force team. We must remember every day is a new day. Every moment is a new moment. It's a new opportunity for you to be the best officer, commander, agent, mentor, supervisor I know that you and your subordinates are all capable of becoming. From what I have been told, you are all very familiar with the powerful word penned by John Stuart Mill long ago. War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks that nothing is worth war, is much worse. The person who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by the exertions of better men than himself. With that being said, we must also understand some of us may not be here tomorrow. How will you define your legacy? Whether you do this job for the title, for the respect, for the money, or just because you actually are passionate about making a difference, you must think about the people that you touch during the course of your journey. The majority of you signed on well after 9/11, knowing full and well our nation is engaged in combat operations in many regions of the world. You automatically gain the respect of those who served before you. You knew what you were getting into. You knew there was a possibility of war or that you could be placed in areas of danger. This did not stop you. You came in anyway and looked past it and kept on marching. You knew you may have to put up with the possibilities of danger and discomfort. We all know you and I can make a lot more money doing something else other than the military. Well, the fact is, we are all here now. You are here now. And automatically, you get the respect of your subordinates. You must never lose that respect. You must take care of your people and each other. The biggest danger to our young troops today is not the enemy. I assure you that when you look at your troops and you point to them, and you point towards the enemy, they will get up and move toward the enemy every time. I tell you that because I have seen this situation many times, and they will not hesitate. As I mentioned, the biggest danger is not the enemy. It comes down to your skill, your tactical mindset, and the way that you mentor and your leadership. The biggest danger I find today is a leader who would crush the initiative and enthusiasm of their airmen or agents out of some belief that you must use negativity to control people. Earning the trust and respect of your subordinates is critical. When it all is done and over with, you are not going to win those fights as a leader. Your troops will win them for you. There is a word from General Mattis I learned to value, and that word is affection. Sometimes people get this mistaken with the word popularity. Being a leader is not a popularity contest. Seeking popularity only leads down the road of failure. But the affection that you create in a team or unit, an affection so strong that the troops will stick by one another and carry out the mission under the harshest of circumstances. I say this because I believe that kind of affection brings out self-discipline, where people do not want to let the unit down. The more you build that kind of affection in a unit, when the going gets tough and people are getting shot down around you, that bond will get you through. It will create fewer disciplinary problems, and it will really play hell with the enemy when you're in a deployed environment, because the commitment that you have to one another, and more importantly, the commitment towards you. Major Vorderbruggen was the embodiment of these virtues. As I briefly mentioned, on many occasions I would accompany her to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where she was responsible for assisting in processing the remains of deceased Army soldiers who were casualties of war. When a member of a brother or sister service is killed in action, we, our forensic folks, will assist in the documentation of the incident and capture the necessary investigative activities to assist that branch's case. This is so they do not have to deal with the hardship or grief of losing one of their own. As agents, we are not what you may believe we are or have heard, right? Whatever rumors are out there, the reality is we exist to keep our Air Force and our nation safe. We do this by running investigations and operations against criminals, spies, and terrorists. Whether the threat is is on the outside or among us in our great Air Force. We exist to find and then properly deal with those threats. One of my very first memories of working with Major Vorderbruggen was when she received a notification from the Air Force Office of Special Investigations headquarters that they employed a new contractor with the capabilities of creating a 3D rendering crime scene similar to what you kind of see on the video games like Call of Duty. I don't play games, so I don't know. But it's basically a high-definition graphic. It shows the crime scene and incident in an animation. Well, as a forensic science consultant, we are tasked and expected to complete crime scene reconstructions, bloodstain pattern analysis, and shooting incident reconstruction reports. I was a rookie agent at the time with only 8 months of Air Force experience when I received a call from Major Vorderbruggen requesting my assistance. She planned on heading to the crime scene of an airman who had died of what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. The bullet entered the soft palate of his mouth and exited the top of his skull. Major V explained she planned on conducting an operational response to assist the agents at the scene and asked if I would attend the airman's autopsy, since there was no way that she could be at 2 places at once. My response was an immediate yes. She stated that I would need to obtain the airman's major case prints. For those of you that don't know, these are fingerprints of the entire palm, the hand, and the blade area for comparison against the prints on a weapon. Upon arrival to the medical facility where the airman was transported to, I received another call from her with new information that I would need to place a trajectory rod through the wound track to help show the path of the bullet as it entered and exited. You can imagine what my face looked like on the other side of that phone call. I was like, WTF, what am I supposed to do? Where do I even begin? Is this for real? My actual reaction and statement to her was, yet an immediate, yes ma'am, I'm on it. She then asked me for an update after I completed my mission to help you better understand all agents in OSI and myself, we take our job seriously, despite the fact that this airman had what was believed to be a suspected, quote unquote, self-inflicted wound. We complete full investigations to ensure that we leave no stone unturned and can account for what the evidence shows us. We treat all deaths as if they're homicides in order to ensure nothing is missed and work backwards from there. We are asked to fact find and prove or disprove allegations, treating everyone as equal, with respect, and in all fairness. Well, unfortunately, due to the off-base jurisdiction of where this airman died, there would be no autopsy. I conducted an external examination of the body, looking for any signs of foul play, and took photographs I needed for the case documentation as previously trained by Major V. Then I asked for the assistance from the orderlies working at the facility, and they looked at me like I had 3 heads. I asked for them to provide me with the instruments I needed to complete this task, since this new information did not allow for proper preparation. Adapt and overcome. Cool. Thank you. They hooked me up with the equipment, and well, my secondary agent at the time stood to the side and instantly said, "Nope, that's all you, Castillo." To save you from the gory details, I did what needed to be done to complete this task, and when I got back to the base, Major Vorderbruggen was in her office downloading the images that she took from the crime scene. She looked at me and smiled and asked, "So how did it go?" I said, "Ma'am, you ready for this?" Then provided the play-by-play of what occurred and showed her my photographs. And for those of you who don't know her, she had an infectious and contagious laugh. No matter what scenario or briefing I provided her, she always laughed at my dramatic recollection of events and animated way of explaining them. She looked at the photographs and said, "I knew you wouldn't let me down. And wow, these images are great." At that moment, I knew I was meant for criminal investigative work, and never imagined wanting to work anywhere else but in the forensic science discipline. From then on, I took every opportunity to work with her and learn everything I could, not ever thinking I could ever become an actual FSC, or forensic science consultant. I just wanted to be a better criminal investigator. Little did either of us know, she had prepared me for what I consider now as my dream job. There is no better satisfaction than identifying the techniques needed to secure the evidence for things like a child pornography case, or when someone cuts the wires on an F-22 in a sabotage investigation. Major Vorderbruggen would never accept the credit for what I know now. I count my blessings every day and feel so lucky for having the opportunity to thank her just a few months before her death, for teaching me so much about forensics and making me the great agent that I am today. Without the trust that she had in me as an agent, I would not have had the opportunity to show what I was capable of. She took a leap of faith and never looked back. I remember a young troop once asked me, "What should I look for in a secondary agent or my subordinates?" I explained, "You can assume trust is there automatically unless you are given a reason not to. In my opinion, there are 2 qualities that you should look for in a teammate: initiative and aggressiveness. They should have the initiative to take charge and the aggressiveness to carry out the orders." Major Vorderbruggen obviously had no issues with me there. I am not that kind of person who is interested in hearing that something is difficult. Neither was she. It was about getting the mission accomplished and leading from the front. I believe the word difficult is an excuse that our agents and our airmen should never accept. It is more important to learn about their strengths, weaknesses, about their talents, and how we can utilize them properly in order to accomplish the mission. Understand, to be a leader or mentor, you must be well-rounded. There is no real way to separate leadership traits. If you prioritize one over another, you actually make yourself a weaker leader. Instead, you must embrace all of them and look at how they come together to make you into the kind of leader that your troops want to follow and are willing to follow, knowing that you have the skill, the enthusiasm, the passion, and compassion, basically the complete package to win battles, no matter how big or small. You must find a way to put all of the traits together in your own authentic way so that you stay true to yourself, but at the same time you recognize your responsibility. I have no doubt in my mind that each and every one of you will react just fine whenever a dangerous situation may come your way. Some of you may say, how do you know this? You don't know me. We've never met. Yes, I have. I know every one of you because you're the kind of people that would not take the easy road. And you chose to take the oath and become part of our Air Force. So how do you keep on improving as a leader to meet the demands of each role in your career? The most important thing is to assume that you must keep improving. You will push yourself when things get tough as a commander or agent, that you keep your spirits high to be the rock that everyone can turn to because they know you won't give up. You aim to keep improving every day and learn from your past experiences and from experiences of others. It is important that you too have a mentor as well as be one. You must remember people are watching what you do both on and off duty, no matter your position. Those you lead will expect you to be the toughest physically, the sharpest mentally, and spiritually, undiminished person that not cold, nor rain, nor enemy threat can ever tear you down. You must seek mind, body, and spiritual improvement at all times. What sets you apart from other leaders is no matter the toughest decisions or the difficult times when something may not go your way despite the feelings you may have when it doesn't, will be your willingness to overcome the situation. You must have the ability to think outside the box and maintain professionalism in the worst of times. The Air Force is looking for leaders and mentors who can not only win the trust and respect of their subordinates. We are looking for leaders and mentors who can win the affection of their troops. A true test of this may find you in a combat situation with bullets flying around you, willpower exhausted, and the Grim Reaper knocking at your door. If you have gained that affection, then you will fight as a team, and they will prevail. With that being said, I challenge you as mentors, leaders, officers, commanders, agents, and fellow co-workers to think about what others will say about your dash, and to remember this: our actions gain respect. Our words give respect. You and I have the ability to uplift people. We do this by embodying 3 things. 1, be responsible. 2, realize that you are capable. And 3, be accountable. Sometimes we only see faults and failures through our own lens. Determine what you respect in them. How will they be validated? When we tear our people down, where will they go to get built back up? Make them feel valued for what they are giving you. In order to empower someone's future, we must celebrate their past. Tell them that they are great at whatever specific skill that they've mastered. Realize and recognize the passion that they give you and our mission. At this time, I would like to take a moment to present a small token of our love from our forensic family and an appreciation to, we have a replica of Major Vorderbruggen's badge with her badge number 1502. The words on the back, thank you, sir. The words on the back say, "Forever shielded," in honor of Special Agent Adrianna Vorderbruggen from the Air Force OSI Forensic Family. We have one for Mrs. Lamb. And Mrs. God bless you. We also have one for Mr. Vorderbruggen. You're welcome, sir. God bless you. And of course, we cannot forget our little Jacob. We have a badge, which is a patch for you. And this is a challenge when you keep this in your pocket. Whoa. God bless you, sir. Thank you. In closing, I wanted to ensure the words of Major Vorderbruggen's friends and fellow forensic agents were heard today since they are unable to attend. I will end with quotes and memories of how many lives were touched by this angel. Special Agent Elizabeth Richards, Air Force Office of Special Investigations, Headquarters Forensic Science Biometrics Program Manager. I attended FLETC with Adrianna. She was my next door neighbor as well. You can say that she stood out amongst her peers from the very first moment that I met her. In 2003, we partnered up to work a string of sexual assault cases, which resulted in my written recommendation for her to fulfill an FSC position within our program. I knew we not only wanted her, but we needed her. She laughed so easily, always had a huge smile on her face, made everyone around her comfortable, was willing to help anyone, and she was a great listener. The biggest thing I feel when I think about her is when you talked to her and laughed with her, worked with her, you felt like you really mattered to her. She cared about what you had to say. She cared about listening and made sure to figure out a way to help you. You know, sometimes when you talk to someone and you don't really feel as though the conversation really mattered? Well, I never felt that way with her. Everyone was important to Adrianna. This is because she gave her whole self to every task and valued every interaction. And wouldn't it be great if we could all be that way? Special Agent Ashley Wega, Air Force OSI, former forensic science consultant. Adrianna and I were partners for 2 years at Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. I fondly remember her love of McDonald's coffee, with a lot of sugar, I remember that too. Techno music, her dog, and her family. But one of my favorite memories of Adrianna, or as I affectionately called her, V12, was her normal response to the question, "How are you doing?" Adrianna's response would be usually, "I'm average." Or on some occasions, she would respond, "I'm above average." But the truth is, Adrianna was anything but average. She was a great agent, leader, forensic partner, but most of all, she was a great friend who was dearly missed by not only me, but all of who knew her. Adrianna touched so many lives, and her memory and legacy lives on in the agents who had the pleasure of working with her. Peg Moskala, Air Force Academy graduate and former AFOSI agent. Adrianna's undying loyalty and devotion to commitment and just plain doing the right thing with every situation surrounding her life was an impressive thing to watch. She always did right by her, Heather, Jacob, friends, family, work, and our country. I remember her being very proud of being a graduate from the academy and being an officer. We always spoke of our crazy cadet times with fondness. We often shared how we navigated our awesome responsibility of being an officer and special agent with a sense of duty and profoundness. She loved the Air Force and its traditions, and when I was promoted recently in the reserves, I was just going to go put on the rank and show up to work. She was adamant about making me have a ceremony to ensure I was honoring my promotion and its significance, because it was doing the right thing and being the right role model for our family and for our Air Force. Adrianna often would say I was a mentor to her, but honestly, she influenced me as much as I influenced her. She embodied leadership by example then and still very much for me today. Special Agent Elizabeth Rocha, forensic science consultant at Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. How has Adrianna impacted me? In the most powerful and wonderful way, the power of her friendship. I absolutely loved going TDY to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center to attend forensic courses with her. I have such wonderful memories of her when Martha Ward and Peg and I attended training at FLETC. Since Peg always had the biggest room, somehow that was assigned to her, after class we would hang out in her room talking about life, our spouses, our children, over, of course, adult beverages. Adrianna's laugh was infectious, and her comedic timing and commentary was perfection. In one instance, we were in Peg's room, showing one another our photos of our spouses and families. It was Peg's turn, who showed a photo of herself alongside her fiance, also named Heather, who both were wearing dresses. Peg's Heather was in a dress who looked beautiful and had a very shapely feminine physique. Then Adrianna saw Peg in a dress. First, a little background on Peg. She used to work for OSI, but now works for Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. Peg is Colombian, medium complexion, about 5'1", with broad shoulders, short spiky hair, normally wears a t-shirt with cowboy boots, and doesn't wear makeup. Well, Adrianna took a look at Peg's photo and saw her in a dress and said it with a snicker, "Well, that's natural," implying that Peg in a dress was anything but natural. Adrianna, Peg, Martha, and myself laughed so hard, tears were flowing down our faces and our stomachs hurt from laughing so long. Peg, Martha, and I still laugh when we reflect on Adrianna's comment about Peg in a dress. And oh, Adrianna, how I miss your funny comments and that laugh. Special Agent Rocha also wanted me to pass this on and share these words. Heather, Jacob, Mrs. Lamb, and Mr. Vorderbruggen, I want you to know that myself and several agents who surround from the forensic family always have Adrianna and your families in our thoughts, and we will never forget her. I wanted to share a dream I had of Adrianna back in April 2016. Several forensic science consultants were attending our annual forensic course that is held for a week in the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. At this course, generally some FSCs will brief others on forensic cases we had over the past year to share what the FSC did that year. Someone was briefing a case at the front of the room. I happened to look back over my right shoulder. And in the corner of the room near a door, I saw Adrianna smiling and standing, wearing a brown Aeropostale t-shirt, white shorts, and sandals. I was caught off guard that she was there, but I recall feeling happy knowing that she was in the room with us during this training. So the briefings continued. I faced forward to see the current speaker who was briefing, and then a small amount of time passed, and again I looked behind me, this time over my left shoulder. I saw Adrianna again, who was now sitting directly behind me, listening to the briefing. Again, she's smiling. I then reached out my left hand to touch hers because I wanted to know if she was really there. We both were now holding one another's hand. I was sitting in a sideways kind of manner. All my fingers were in her palm as she embraced my hand. I recall her feeling her soft, warm hand, and I felt so happy but sad at the same time. Adrianna then looking at me and smiling, looking directly into my eyes while I was holding her hand and said, "Don't worry about me." A rush of emotions came over me as I heard her say it again. "Don't worry about me," with a huge smile on her face. I felt gratitude, comfort, kindness, thankfulness, caring, thoughtfulness, happiness, love, friendship, all rolled into one. In that moment, I missed my friend, but felt comforted that she reached out to me to ensure that she was able to share those words. After hearing those words from Adrianna, I turned back around to face forward in my chair, and I did not see her in the room again. To all of you, I want to thank you for taking the time to honor Major Vorderbruggen today. And to Major V, ma'am, we love you and we miss you dearly. We will continue to make you proud, and we will continue to ensure that we keep the legacy of the entire Hustler 6 team alive.
possible without the tremendous support and contributions of Cadet Squadron 2. Under Lieutenant Colonel Parsons' leadership, cadets took the initiative to create a memorial display case-fitting to such a great airman. Following the unveiling, the display will take its place in the hallway of Cadet Squadron 2 as a memorial and example to future cadets of officership. At this time, I would like to invite the Air Officer Commanding Cadet Squadron 2, Lieutenant Colonel Parsons, and members of Cadet Squadron 2 to the front to unveil the memorial display case. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Parsons. At this time, I would like to invite Chief Master Sergeant Christopher Vanberger, AFOSI Command Chief, to the podium to reflect on Major Vorderbruggen, Detachment 2405, and their impact on AFOSI.
Ms. Lamb, Jacob, Mr. Vorderbruggen, General, Mr. Tom Cross, Colonel Baumgartner, family, friends, cadets, agents, thank you for allowing me to be here today to help honor a true American hero. You know, we're here today to honor Major Vorderbruggen. She's not a hero because she passed away on that fateful day back in December. She's a hero because of how she lived her life. It was what she did every single day in and day out, that defined her. It's how she inspired us. It's how she made us be better. That's why she's a hero. You know, growing up in Minnesota, she excelled in both academics and sports. After graduating from high school, she received her appointment here to the academy. And that tradition continued, that excellence in both academics and sports. She became a member of the women's rugby team, and in 2002, as a senior captain of that team, helped lead that team to a national title. After graduating from the academy, she became an OSI agent, and she quickly rose to one of OSI's top performers. She had numerous deployments. She was the commander at Holloman Air Force Base, and she was a forensic science consultant, wherein she would provide subject matter expertise to OSI units across the command on some of the most heinous crimes that were committed within our Air Force. It was her tenacity, her dedication, and her caring that garnered her so much success early on in her adult life. It was what she did every day that mattered, day in and day out. You know, I only had the pleasure of meeting her once, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was very brief. So I really didn't know her very well. But I did know a lot of the NCOs and a lot of the senior NCOs who gave their dedication and their respect to her. Folks like Special Agent and Staff Sergeant Chester McBride, who was also a collegiate athlete, who would have been in the FBI Academy today if he had not lost his life alongside Major Vorderbruggen on that fateful day. Folks like Master Sergeant Henry Youngblood, who was the superintendent out at Vorderbruggen, and whom I recruited into OSI back in 2006. And Anthony Bechtold, Bronze Star recipient and fellow Chief Master Sergeant, whom I hold a great deal of respect for. Talking with Chief Bechtold, he had the following to say about Major Vorderbruggen. Her best attribute was truly caring about people. She had a keen ability to get the most out of airmen, while at the same time caring about them and their families. Whether it was conducting feedbacks with her airmen, helping them with career aspirations, or consoling them when there were personal family issues, she was there for them personally and professionally. In fact, there was always a line of airmen out her door waiting to seek her counsel. You walked into her office and she proudly displayed a picture of her family, which included her wife Heather and son Jacob. She was all about family. And as the director of operations for one of the largest OSI units, she took time to mentor her airmen, which was her extended Air Force family. This speaks very highly of her character and the type of officer she was. The NCOs and the senior NCOs I just talked about are of the highest caliber, whom I greatly respect. And they gave their utmost respect, dedication, and devotion to Major Vorderbruggen. So this tells me exactly the type of Air Force officer she was. She was the type of leader who knew that if she took care of her troops, they would take care of the mission. She knew it. And she exemplified it day in and day out. Leadership defined as the art of influencing and directing people to accomplish the mission. What I can honestly say is that every single person under her watch and under her command wanted to work for her rather than having to work for her. As you heard, her smile was infectious. Her actions spoke very much louder than words. I'd like to relay a quote from probably the greatest football coach in history, Coach Vince Lombardi. And Coach Lombardi said, "We will chase perfection, and we will chase it relentlessly, knowing all the while we can never attain it. But along the way, we shall achieve excellence." She epitomized those words. She achieved excellence daily. You know, Major V and her team didn't go out that day looking to bring democracy to Afghanistan. As the commander of the unit, she didn't have to go out on all those missions, but she did. When they broke wire that day, they broke wire to keep all those Americans, all those service members, all those coalition partners on Bagram Airfield safe. That was their mission. She led by example, and she led from the front. It was what she did every day in and day out, that mattered. That's why she deserves the distinction of hero. This display case will allow us to tell future generations of Air Force leaders exactly the type of person Major V was. It'll allow us to let those new future leaders know that it's what you do every day that matters, day in and day out. That's what makes you worthy of the title of hero. Major V is and will forever be one of our heroes. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Vanberger, for your kind words. At this time, I would like to welcome Colonel Amy Brumgarner, Commander, AFOSI Field Investigations Region 8, to the podium to provide remarks.
Wow, so I have the big responsibility to wrap this up. Pretty incredible, Agent Castillo, thank you so much for your words. Chief Vandenberg, thank you. To everybody who put this together, from the anthem to the prayer to putting this together, Cadets Squadron 2, thank you all so much. It's overwhelming, truly. And I know as you sat in here and watched the video and heard the words, and even though a lot of you in here may not know her, you know that she has left behind a legacy. She was a pretty special person and somebody that we should remember. Shakespeare said, "Praising what is lost makes the remembrance dear." What we have here and what's going to be forever in the halls of Cadet Squadron 2 is one more way of how Major V will always be remembered, forever here and forever in our hearts. So I knew Adrianna. We worked together. We were stationed together up at Andrews Air Force Base from 2011 to 2013. I was the Region 7 Vice Commander, and at the time was when she was assigned to the squadron as a forensics agent. I had a chance to know her just through interactions from the region to the squadron. I worked with her sometimes on her things like her performance report. We had an officer mentor group there on Andrews, and I had a chance to meet with her there and talk with her once a month about her career, about what she wanted to do. I will tell you that she loved being in the Air Force, but she also loved you very much. And then she was trying to find a balance between being in the Air Force and then also making sure balancing her family life. So I wanted to share that with you, Heather, that I know that you know that. She loved you and she loved Jacob very much. I also had the opportunity to attend her promotion to Major. It was shortly after the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And so her family was there as her family. And we were able to recognize her family as part of that promotion ceremony. And I don't remember all the exact words that were said, but I remember I was proud to be there. I was proud for her, I was proud for her family, and I was proud for our Air Force. And this was history that I was getting to see. And it was also because that was something that Major Vorderbruggen worked for. And she worked very hard to make sure that all people who were willing to serve, and in this case ultimately die for our country, are recognized as equals under our system. And as Agent Castillo shared and Chief Vandenberg shared, Major Vorderbruggen had wide and lasting impact, not just on the people she served with, but DOD-wide impact. She was a trailblazer and an incredible example for all of us. There's two quotes that I want to close us out with that I believe are most fitting for this occasion. First one is by Margaret Mead. "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." And from John F. Kennedy, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." May Major V's life be a reminder to us all to live our lives to the fullest, go after what we believe in, and stand up for what we know in our hearts to be right. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Colonel Baumgartner. At this time, I would like to welcome Brigadier General Armacost to provide closing remarks.
Time and place. I ask you to reflect upon the time and place of this event today. Yesterday, as you know, is Veterans Day, or was Veterans Day. And if you think about all those who have served in uniform, I can't think of a better example to typify all of our service than Adrianna. What she gave and what she sacrificed means everything to us. And if you think about the place where we hold today's event, it's called the Hall of Exemplars. And alongside Adrianna's memorial are three other memorials. David Broder, class of 1999, Bud Day, who was a Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and then also Louis Zamperini, famous from Unbroken, the book and the movie. And we place her alongside them as a symbol of the major contribution she had to our Air Force and to our nation. And when I heard Special Agent Castillo talk about the dash, that seems so lonely, a dash by itself. And what I think we all realized through the comments that we heard today was it really wasn't a dash. It was a dash intersecting with a whole bunch of other dashes. And the connections that Adrianna had made, whether it was here at the Academy in Cadet Squadron 2, with her rugby teammates, with her OSI teammates, with anybody who came into contact her, it's obvious that her impact has been profound. And we are honored to have this display case here today, but forever in Cadet Squadron 2. And just as that lives on forever, so does our thanks for Adrianna and our appreciation to Heather, Jacob, Joseph, and the entire family. You are forever part of us, and we welcome you back anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigadier General Armaclass, for your kind words. I would like to welcome Major Vorderbruggen's national champion rugby coach, Skip Shackelford, to the front to make a presentation to Major Vorderbruggen's family.
You just thought you had the last minutes. Joe, Heather, Jacob, and good to see you. So, Adrianna was about family, about team. So I have the shortest pitch today. A reminder of what she did for us and what she brought to our team. Here's her jersey. Adrianna might not want to admit that this jersey's still around here. I don't want to admit that it's still out there. It's still out there. It was in the same Connex that Adrianna played with, so it was all out there. So, picture from her kicking on the field. Adrianna, number 11 on the field of champions, forever number 1 in our hearts. CRFC from the team. So I'm glad we found it. So, all yours. Thought you needed Jacob, I thought you needed something a little bigger. So we'll get this home for you and everything else. But
Thank you, Coach Shackelford. We would like to extend a special thank you to Major Vorderbruggen's family for allowing us to commemorate our fallen sister and for their invaluable contributions toward the creation of this memorial case. We are humbled and honored by your presence, your support, and your friendship to AFOSI and the Air Force Academy. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite everyone to come up and view the display case. In addition, we invite everyone to be escorted to view the memorial wall located on the terrazzo containing Major Vorderbruggen's name. This concludes our ceremony. Thank you for attending.